Hey guys, Miss K here. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I got this super duper cute set with the croc print and the pearls and the color blocking. So if you're interested in seeing how I created this set, then just go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, so I've already prepped her nails and her cuticle area, and then I applied my thin layer of clear acrylic to her natural nail already off camera, so that way whenever I go back into file, when I'm doing like a backfill, then I won't have to worry about damaging her natural nail because I have that thin layer of clear acrylic there. So I'm going in with my nude acrylic, and as you can see, I'm just kind of pushing it up into the cuticle area and then bringing it down. I'm trying to grab bigger beads so that way I have less work to do overall, and then I just kind of swipe that bead down. I'm really trying to get my application to a point where I don't feel like it takes an extended amount of time. I'm tired of taking 30 minutes to apply acrylic onto the nails, and I want to get to where it takes me, 15 or 20 minutes to apply the acrylic. So that's what I'm working on, is my speed. So as you guys saw, I applied one bead and it was pretty thin, so then I went in with my second bead and it was nice and thick. I got the whole nail covered basically. And now going in with this third teeny little bead that I placed in the cuticle area, I'm gonna clean that up around the cuticle so that way I don't have any lifting, and then I just, wipe it down and blend it with the existing acrylic. Now here I'm just adding another bead to kind of build up the structure of the nail. It was a little too thin for my liking, so I add however many I need, but I'm really trying to get to like a process of 3 or 4 beads max, so that way it'll speed up my process when I'm applying the acrylic. So just like before, I'm applying my first bead where the natural nail meets the tip of the nail. And when you're applying your acrylic, you want to keep the finger at a downward position, so that way the acrylic will kind of just flow towards the end of the nail rather than off the sides. So it minimizes wasting the product if you keep the finger pointed downwards rather than having it flat. So we already waste a lot of product because we're constantly wiping our brush off, and if we got too big of a bead or too small of a bead or whatever the case may be, so you really want to minimize wasting it. So here I am just dragging that bead down the nail, and then I add another one kind of towards the tip of the nail so I can thicken up the tip. I don't want it to be opaque like how it is, or transparent. I want it to be opaque, sorry. So then I just bring that down, and then I'm gonna cut it with my brush, boop, just like that, clean it up, and then you kind of just keep shaping the nail as you go, wiping along the sides and up the nail, all that good stuff. Then my next bead is my cuticle bead, and you see how I place it like right under the cuticle, and then I push it up into the cuticle area so that way it's nice and flush with that natural nail. I don't want it to flood her sidewalls or her cuticle, so I place it and then I push it up into the cuticle area. So then literally following the exact same process, first bead goes where the natural nail meets the tip, And I actually think I'm going to be getting a larger brush. I was used to working with a size 14 brush, and then I moved down to this size 10, and it really seems more like a size 8 to me, which is way too small. I want to be able to pick up more acrylic. That also helps with the application process and your speed. So the more acrylic you can pick up, the faster you can obviously get through your application because you're putting more on the nail. So I'm probably going to be getting me a bigger brush here soon. So I'll let you guys know how that goes for me. And I do like this brush because it's like really good quality. It's just small. That's the only problem I have. And they don't have it in a larger size. They only have it in a 10 and a 12. So I really want a 14 or a 16. And honestly, I want to be able to work with like a size 20 one day. I'm just not there yet. So here I am cleaning up the nail, making sure that it's nice and thick. I always look at the nails from different angles and different directions so that way I can make sure that it's got the right structure, you know, thinner at the cuticle, then it kind of goes up in a bump at the apex area, and the apex is where your natural nail meets the free edge. So that's where you want to build up the most strength for the nail so that way there's no breaking. And then you want it to go a little thinner as it goes towards the tip of the nail. So I've really gotten my application where it's pretty smooth. Now I just need to get it where it's faster. So it's super important to get your application as smooth as you can so that way when you go in afterwards you don't have a whole bunch of filing to do. I like to make sure that my nails are the thickness that I want, and also well, pretty smooth, like I keep on saying. You want it to be, you know, even, so there's not a lot of lumps and bumps. Make sure you're wiping along the sides of the nail as you go so that way it's not super wide when you go in to file. It just saves you a lot more time in that area. So if you spend more time on your application and focus on keeping the shape of the nail as you're applying the acrylic, then you don't have to worry about it as much when you go into file afterwards. So for me, my application probably takes about 30 minutes to be honest, but then my filing only takes like 10, and that's for both hands. So 30 minutes total, then filing takes about 10 minutes. My cuticle care takes about 15 minutes depending on how their nails are, and it also depends on if I'm doing a fresh set or if I'm doing like a backfill. So I try to keep my entire application in an hour, and that's generally how it works. Then if they want nail art and all of that extra stuff, then that's kind of where the extra time gets added on. So nail art, I usually put aside an hour to 2 hours depending on what they want done. But I know that by the end of filing, like when I'm done with my finished filing, about an hour has passed. Sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more, but it's generally at that hour mark. So here I am doing her last finger, which is her thumb, and I'm just applying it the exact same way as all the other beads. As you can see, I kind of tap along the top of the bead, and then I bring down the rest of the bead along the length of the nail. That way it's nice and smooth with my application. So that's really just my ultimate goal, is to get it as smooth as I possibly can and not have to worry about any lumps and bumps in it. And then here I always cut the tips of the nail so that way I can make sure that they're nice and squared off, or whatever shape they're getting. If they're getting stiletto, I always make sure that I'm going along the sides to get to that nice point. And in this case, they're a tapered square, so I just make sure that I keep wiping along the sides of it and that I cut it at the tip so that way it's nice and straight across. So applying my beads, I set them down and then I just wipe down the bottom half of the bead. I don't really wipe the top of the bead down because I feel like that just moves the acrylic, and that's not what I'm going for. So here I am finishing up this nail, and then I'll be back. Okay, going in with filing, I'm using my Tammy Taylor Peel and Stick file in 100 grit. If you guys have been watching me for a while, then you know that this is my favorite file to use for shaping. It just works so well. It's super sturdy, it doesn't bend, and the 100 grit, since it's more coarse, it just files it right away. I'm not sitting there like buffing at the nails forever. So here I am just shaping up the nails, and this is why I was saying that your application is so important, so that way you don't have to spend a lot of time shaping them. So as you can see, they basically already have the shape that I want, and I just have to go in and crispen it up. Then going in with my Pana 5-in-1 carbide safety bit. I love this drill bit. Like I also said about the nail file, if you've been watching me for a while, then you know that I love this drill bit. So I use this around the sidewalls and around the cuticle area, and it just really cleans up that area so much, makes it look so nice, and it gets it really nice and flushed with the natural nail. You don't have to worry about any bulkiness or any lifting. My clients, if they come back, they may have like minimal lifting, but 9 times out of 10, all of their nails are still intact. They don't have any lifting. They don't have a fingernail that fell off unless they like hit it on something, but that's normal. So after I used that, I switched this up in my process because I got my application to a point that I liked. So I switched it up from using my Pana 5-in-1 carbide bit to go over the surface of the nail, and I'm using a fine grit sanding band to go over the surface of the nail. So this helps further smooth out the nail from my application, and it also kind of buffs the nail. So I really like that, especially when I'm going in with polish afterwards, like nail art, gel polish kind of situation, rather than just a top coat, because top coats really just smooth out the nail even if it has a whole bunch of scratches in it or whatever the case may be. But if I'm going in with nail art, then I like to use this. That way it goes ahead and smooths out the nail, and there's not a whole bunch of scratches for the polish to like seek into and spread out. So here I am just using this over the surface of the nails, and I'm going to do this on all 10 nails, And then I also use it to go underneath the nail, so that way it can get that nice clean shape with that nice curve under the nails. So I'm going to do this on all 10 nails, and then I'll be back. So after I'm done with my filing, I do go in with some Young Nail Swipe to clean off the nails. And then now I'm going in with my Beetles Base Gel for the foundation of my polish. I feel like using a base gel really helps gel polish adhere to the acrylic nails. So I'm going to do this on all 10 of her nails, and then I'm going to have it cure in the light for 1 to 2 minutes. I usually set my light to like 2 minutes, and then as soon as that's done, that's when I have them take their nails out. Now I'm using a Beetles gel polish. I can't remember what number it is, but I'll link it down below, so no worries on that. But it is a Beetles polish. If you guys know, then you know that I really enjoy their polishes. This one wasn't as opaque as I would have liked it to be, but that's okay. You can always go in with like a second or third coat if you need. And on these, I only went in with 2 coats because I knew I was going to be going on top of it with the crocodile print, so I wasn't really stressing the opacity of it. Now going in with my French tip brush and a little bit of acetone, I am cleaning up the lines for my little color blocking that I did. So here I am doing that. Then I'll go back in with the polish to kind of fix the lines of it. And I'm using my Macart nail art brush in the number 3. This is the longest one from number 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to use that to just clean up the lines. Then I'll have her cure that in the light. And while this finger is curing, I'll be painting the other hand. So on her ring finger, I am going in and just doing a full coat of this on the entire nail, because this whole nail is going to be crocodile print. And then the color blocking that I had done on the pinky, I did the exact same thing on her pointer finger. Okay, so on the middle finger, we're going in with kind of like a ballerina laced type of situation. So I just draw 2 diagonal lines in one direction, then I come back and draw 2 diagonal lines in the opposite direction to make it look like 2 little X's. And then I go back over it to kind of thicken them up a little bit. And anytime that I make a mistake, I go in with acetone and I clean it up. So if you see me make a mistake like here, I don't know how I did that, but I did. I'm going to go in afterwards with a little bit of acetone on my brush, and I'm going to clean that up. So like I said, anytime I make a mistake, I use acetone to clean it up. You can always use alcohol if that's what you prefer, but acetone works just fine for me, so that's always what I've used. Okay, so I didn't film her pointer finger or her thumb, but on her thumb I just did a French tip, and on the pointer finger I did the same thing as the pinky. So now I'm going in with my Kiara Sky acrylic top coat, and I am applying this on all 10 of her nails, and then I'm going to have her cure that in the light for 2 minutes. Okay, so now it's time for the fun part, the crocodile print. So to do this, I'm using a dotting tool, and you just use the same color of polish that you used as the base, and you just go in and draw some little horizontal lines across with your dotting tool, and then place some little dots along the side of those lines. So there's really no specific way to do this. You just kind of find your flow and do it that way. And here I am applying the polish on top of what I already did, and you want it to be nice and thick. That way it pops out from your polish that you had painted on there. So then after you do that, you take some acrylic powder, clear acrylic powder specifically, and pour it over the top of the nail. And you want to make sure that you're really getting it soaked into the gel polish. So if after you tap off the nail, it still looks a little wet, it's getting glossy again, then go back in and pour more acrylic powder over the top. And then if you notice that your crocodile print starts to kind of smudge together, I went in with this brush and just separated my print back up, just like that. And then I'm going to go back in with the acrylic powder and pour it over it again, so that way it can make sure it's nice and stuck on there. And then after I pour the acrylic powder on it, I tap it off, and then I have her cure that in the light for about a minute. And then I repeat the same process on her ring finger, except this time I'm going all the way down the nail, and it's literally just some horizontal lines in the middle and then some dots on the side, and pour the acrylic powder over the top. Make sure that it's nice and soaked into the gel polish. You don't want any wet polish still poking through, because then it's not going to give that same effect as what you're looking for with the 3D crocodile print. So one more time, here we go, the little horizontal lines in the middle and then the dots along the side. And then once we're done with this, we're going to go over, pour the clear acrylic over the top of it. And I'm using these little trays that are actually for pixie crystals, but they work just fine for this, and I love it. And then I have her cure her nails in the light for about 1 to 2 minutes while I work on the other hand. So then for the thumb, I do the horizontal lines in the middle and I do dots along the side, but then I also go in and add another row of horizontal lines, but they're just smaller. That way it fills up the entire nail and it doesn't leave just this weird empty space. I didn't want that, so I made sure that I went back in and drew these little lines so that way it fills up the whole nail. And then after I'm done, I'm going to pour the clear acrylic over the top, just like I did before, and make sure it's nice and soaked in, like I've been saying. Then we cure it in the light for 1 to 2 minutes. After that, we dust all of the nails off, apply the pearls to the edges, and this is the finished look, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry I didn't get footage of me applying the little pearls, but you can see how I did it. I just did it along the line of the little light purple or the lavender. So I love this. If you love this, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.